Hey everyone, Mecha here. Welcome back to the FE4 Tier List review. In these videos, I go over an FE4 tier list I made when I was doing the big tier list, and I move people around that I think were tiered incorrectly. My guest who's helping me with this is Falk, also known as Palla Emblem. He knows a lot about FE4 because he did a ranked LTC playthrough. We're about halfway done. Just got done with the Christmas calves, Alec and Niche, and now we're going to talk about Midir. Midir, one of the best chip mounted units in the game. Like, I think we mentioned earlier, he can chip the Chapter 1 boss. I'm assuming he can do like similar things all over the place. Just like get some damage in, don't get countered. And then sometimes enemies attack him when they really shouldn't, like attack him at range and just die.
Yeah, enemy AI in FE4 is weird because they don't have consistent AI parameters. They roll a number to decide what they do. They obviously have a trend that they go towards, but they can just roll to do stupid things all the time. And so that's why you get all these comments about like, why did that Dark Mage just attack me at 2 range?
Yeah.
With my bow user.
That's how you get Midir kills on enemy phase. Who said bows couldn't fight on enemy phase, huh?
Yeah. So Midir's good for like that chip in the Chapter 1. He still doesn't have the best hit on that boss, so it's not like perfect. He starts with the Iron Bow, which is a really bad weapon. I don't know why Iron Bows are in this game, because there is no C-rank bow user in this game.
Arden gets B, right? Yeah, wow.
Yeah, Arden gets B. Everybody has B or A. There's no reason for Iron Bows to exist in this game because they're just worse than Steel. We'll get more into why that's a problem with Gen 2 units. Because
they wanted to nerf Midir in the early game, I guess.
Yeah, it's just an awful weapon. It's 70 hit. It's got axe hit.
Isn't the Killer Bow also C?
The Killer Bow's also C. It has no reason to be C. It's better than the Legendary Bow, but yeah. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Midir, he's not very good in the first 2 chapters. He's got a couple quirks that he does. It's Chapter 2 where he pops off because you get the Killer Bow and you give it to him because you don't give it to the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just kind of deletes enemies. He usually only fights on player phase because that's how archers be. But Alec, Nisha, and Lex don't usually delete enemies that well, so it's nice to have somebody, especially somebody who can take on the bulkier enemies. Because even if he doesn't reliably one round, he still has very good skills. So he usually does a good chunk of damage off them.
Yeah, I think his critical rate is really low, right? It's like 8% or something, because his stats are kind of bad. Like his skills like 8, but then a cost rate. Do you remember his rougher cost rates? Because it varies a lot, obviously.
Yeah, it's like HP over 2 plus speed or something like that is the chance. So it's very much going to depend on how he levels.
Yeah.
The Killer Bow does improve his cost rate because it's based on attack speed. The Killer Bow also weighs as much as a Silver Sword. It has as much might as a Silver Sword. It has 20 more hit than a Silver Sword.
I got emoji here.
It's such a good weapon. It makes him such a better unit. The other thing Midir does in Chapter 2 that's nice, aside from being able to fight some of the harder enemies, is you can kind of loop him around the top. It's a strategy I use. And when you're trying to fight Augusty Castle, you can bait the Armor Knights away. And this means that Sigurd and Quan can just ignore the entirety of that force that Augusty sends, because the Armor Knights that choke point you out of that. And you can just ignore that entire encounter.
Oh, that's great. Those guys
so that's another...
Yeah.
It's another great thing he does.
Yeah, because those guys have like javelins and they can get physic healed if you're not careful. So that's really annoying. I remember, like mostly for casual players, obviously. I generally find, especially in like Chapter 2, I find Midir more useful than like the calves, because the calves, if they do combat, you usually have to get healed, right? Because they just die in 2 hits. Whereas Midir generally just doesn't get hit. If he does get hit, you probably did something wrong. So he just gets like a chip every turn. Whereas the calves, they often have to like run away to get healed. Do you think Midir is like right, or do you think I generally like him better, but I don't know.
So the issue that Midir has is he kind of falls off really hard as the game goes on, like all the other units.
Yeah, no Brave Bow, right? Because you're pairing Aideen with someone else.
I mean, even if you get the Brave Bow, it's not gonna change them that much.
I forgot. Brave weapons don't change anything for you. I forgot. My bad.
But I mean, the Brave Line is really good.
Oh, that's true. That one matters.
Yeah. But the issue is more of just he doesn't fight very well on enemy phase, and the game becomes more enemy phase focused for what you're wanting to do. The Andre squad, which is what I guess you'd theoretically have him fight,
Ugh.
he doesn't.
Sounds like he
have
died
enough bulk.
after like 3 of them.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough bulk to really take it. So yeah, around like the last 2 maps of the game, he's not very good. Whereas the Cavs are still somewhat competent.
Mm-hmm.
One nice thing about Midir that I noticed in like my ranking playthrough is he's the fastest unit to pair with Briggid if you want to have a Gen 2 thief that isn't Daisy.
Oh, I mean,
So that's something that you can do with him.
It does sound nice to have a Gen 2 thief that isn't Daisy, to be honest. Okay, so do you think he's worse than Lex, or do you think?
So like, I think he's better than like all the Cavs by a country mile in Chapter 2, but outside of that, he's a bit worse than them. So I think it's good that he's lower than all of them. I don't know if I'd put him below. Well, those other units. Yeah, never mind. He's better than them. Yeah, I think like bottom of B, because I think both those units are not deserving of this tier.
Okay.
Is good.
Interesting. Okay. So if we're done with Midir, I guess we can move on to those units that are apparently gonna be kicked out of B tier. Erinys and Beowolf. And honestly, I'm not super surprised thinking about it, because Erinys, I guess we could talk about her first. She's a flyer, and I think this is the worst game to be a flyer, and I think I've said it every time someone wants like a FE4 Pegasus Knight reviewed, because they can't use the roads, they can't really keep up. I do really like the Pegasus Knight class. That's like pretty good weapon rank so far. I think it's like B swords and lances before promotion, and then A rank after promotion, which is super good, and then stack utility as well. But I can't really think of a whole lot that they can do outside of like saving villages a little earlier than most units. There's probably some like funny things you can do with Erinys, which I'm very curious about, but I don't know if it makes a very big difference. And I can see her moving down for sure.
Yeah, so Erinys, she doesn't really do anything for most of the game, unfortunately.
So deflating.
Yeah. There's one thing she does, and it's why I think she's still a competent unit, is Chapter 4, she could completely break the second castle. Because you could just fly from that top mountain down, kill the boss, causes all the guards to chase after her, and then the castle's free.
Wait, which castle is this? Silesia or
Zaxxon?
Zaxxon.
Zaxxon. Yeah. You just have her fly down. She just uses Lightbrand. Pegasus Knights have good magic, so she can usually kill them in 3 hits. You have plenty of time, because they're still trekking Sigurd and people over, and just kill the boss, make all the guards leave, and then free castle right there. So that's like the really good thing that she does. Everywhere else, she's kind of like a competent combat unit if you want her to be. She's not going to do anything noteworthy, do anything super a lot better than the Cavs were doing. She of course joins at the end of Chapter 2, and she's not going to do anything in that map. So it's like Chapter 3 is when you first get to really play with her. I remember when we were planning, not the ranked LTC, but I was helping someone else with the a normal LTC.
Mm-hmm.
There was an idea I had, which was to promote her right away, get her the return staff, and try to rescue Claude from the top of the like where he spawns, so we could get more pairing points with him and Edain. Unfortunately, we found out that you don't gain pairing points in the last turn, which ruined that whole idea because she could only reach him on the last turn. But we did do a lot of work, and we did find out, yeah, we can get her promoted by Chapter 3. It's ridiculously tight, but we did it.
Broke, promote Lachesis, woke, promote Erinys.
Yeah. Yeah, like she's okay.
Mm-hmm.
In Chapter 5, you can do some things with her, like fly her around in the desert area.
Yeah.
I know if you have crit on the Lightbrand, you could just like kind of cheese Reptor if you wanted to.
She doesn't get. There's probably a towel you can put her right where she like baits Reptor but doesn't die to something else like a bow dude.
Well, if she kills him, all of the enemies despawn. So,
oh yeah, but I mean like someone else could get to her first because Reptor moves last.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just fly her into it all and just hope she crits. That's
the idea. Right.
It's not a good strategy, but it is a working one.
I do remember I would like in a more casual setting, I would poke one of the enemies, or like, I don't know, maybe bait on one of them, and they all just start moving towards you outside of the range of all those meteor mages. That'd be kind of interesting. But it's all stuff like that with her, right? It's like it's never something like really relevant for LTTs. It's just funny things that sometimes work.
Yeah. yeah, she doesn't get road tiles, so she's not very good in like the first part of chapter 4, and also chapter 3. Yeah, it's like she just doesn't really keep up with other units. She doesn't have a great enemy phase versus a lot of dudes, and yeah, it's just the little things that she does.
Yeah,
I don't think it's deserving of B tier. She's not like a general combat unit. She's a very niche combat unit.
I agree. All right. Okay, that's Erinys. Beowolf, I think is like kind of like an underleveled cav that can't use lances. And if I've been listening to you for the last like what is it? It's already been almost like an hour. That doesn't sound very good to me because what he gets in return is like I guess theoretically a better late game because he gets adept and the better promotion bonuses. But it honestly sounds like you're pretty happy with the cav late game anyway. So that doesn't sound very good either. So what you get is like a pretty mediocre dude that just doesn't do anything relevant, even when he's good.
So Beowolf is like, hi, I'm a free promoted cav. You can pretty much just have him do arenas, maybe get a little bit of money in chapter 3 from the villages on the side, and then you'll have him promoted in chapter 4. He has like a bunch of I get to attack again skills, which is nice. He also has the highest skill in the game, if I remember correctly. I think it caps at 30 for him.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And he does have a sword, which the other cavs don't have, so you can use blades and the silver sword.
After promotion, right? Yeah,
after promotion. What I used him for in my run was to build kills in the silver sword. That's not super useful, though. As I found out, the silver sword isn't that great. But, yeah, he can do that. The other thing, if you are trying to like do the efficiency strat for chapter 4, you do need to use at least 2 calves. So if you were, didn't really train up Alec and Nisha, and Lex isn't doing it for you, I mean, he's a free option basically.
Because he just gets there from arenas. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So he's okay. He's filler. Another thing he can do that's not very good, but it's like a reliability buffer. It's in chapter 5, the first castle, Lombard, I think is the boss's name.
Yeah.
You give him the Armor Slayer, and you just like start one-ranging that guy, and then after a bunch of skill procs, he probably like does a good chunk of them. So he's pretty decent there as like a reliability buffer. Generally, you should kill Lombard before Beowolf has a chance to get there, but he's nice to have in case you don't, because the guy's got great shield, and great shield sucks.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes people criticize like efficient playthroughs, especially LTCs, for being like unreliable strategies where it's like, okay, just reset until you get the crit, or pay your cousin to reset until you kill the enemy fighter with Laura or whatever it is. So it's nice to have kind of like buffs like that.
Yeah.
Do you think he should be below or above Miss Pegasus?
I think he's worse than her. Oh, I don't know. They kind of both suck. I don't know where to put them.
Yeah. Okay, in that case, I'm not gonna fuss about it. If it's like really close, I don't really care if it's this way or this way. It works either way.
They just do different things, so it's hard to rate them.
Yeah, apples and oranges. It's a common problem in tier lists. Sometimes it's like still clear, which is better, but I guess in this case it's fine. Okay. If these two end up C, I feel like these are gonna end up lower. It sounds like you want them lower, from what I can hear.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought you might do. All right, we're gonna have a bunch of foot units move down and. That's what it is. Because like I feel like everything is basically gonna move 1 tier down from here. Not everything, but like that's what it feels like what's gonna happen from here. Which
I did take notes where I would think about moving the units on the list you gave me, and almost all of it was down.
Yeah, I thought that might be the case. I guess it's just like it's just more lopsided than before, which is that's fine with me.
Yeah,
that's fine with me.
Yeah, nobody's really moving that much. It's just
yeah. Okay. I guess we just start with Azelle because he's right here. So I mean, I do want to say, Azelle, for all his faults, he's like one of the only units who won rounds in prologue, and that's kind of where the praise ends for me. Like, he can one on a bandit, let's go. At 1 to range,
but what does
no
he
less.
do?
And that's it. Like, he does that for his own benefit. Like, he kills like 1 bandit to bring down a village, maybe 1 more, and then the fun kind of ends, because how is he going to make it to the rest of the units? And then if he makes it to combat ever, he gets like 2 shot by everything. He doesn't dodge anything. And then until he promotes, he's not very good. But I do remember, I think at one point I posted like an LTC only tier list on Reddit, and I don't know if it was you, but someone posted like, yeah, Azelle's better than Lewyn, because he at least when he promotes, he's better, which I find funny because like everyone who's played this game for the first time will say like, yeah, Lewyn is better.
Well, Lewyn's a lot easier to use.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Azelle, yeah, sure, he kills bandits at chapter 1, or the prologue, but
yes, not
like, what is that? What does that do?
It
really?
stops animation time, all right.
Yeah, it stops animation time. It allows Arden to pick up some village and get some Arden money.
Exactly. Where's he gonna? Yeah. How is he gonna afford the second pursuit ring if you don't?
Right, of course. So, like, Azelle does almost nothing for you for the entire game until he promotes, and then the problem is getting him promoted is really annoying.
I hate it too.
He's very bad in the arena, and while he's fine on the map, he's got 5 movement, so you have to like know what you're gonna do with him before you do it. You can't just casually use Azelle. You have to look ahead, otherwise he's just getting left behind. I do think people get a bit harsh on him for the fact that he's a fire mage.
Yeah, that doesn't matter much. He gets thunder, chapter 2, like whatever.
He can use fire, he can use thunder, he can use wind, and he can use Elfire. The only tome of the game he can't use before he promotes is going to be Lewyn's Elwind, pretty much.
I mean, that would have been nice to have, to be.
It is nice, kinda, but I was looking at it, and if you wanted to have like Azelle fight the Cross Knights, he does one round them with wind, so at like an average level for the time.
Does chapter 3 sell a wind already?
I think.
I remember you get a wind tome, but I vaguely remember it being chapter 4 armory.
Yeah, well then you could use thunder, I guess.
Yeah, it's like minus 10 avoid.
Make him worse. It's fine. They all have javelins, so it's still 18 weight, so he'll double them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, it's not that big of a deal that he doesn't have the ranks, because he should be able to use everything by the time he promotes, and he gets almost all the tomes as they come.
Yeah, he gets B all around, I think, right? So.
Yeah, he gets B
and the light brand.
Yeah, he gets C swords, I believe, or it might be B swords. I don't remember. I want to say it's B.
I've seen someone use like a hero sword, Mage Knight, but I don't remember.
I remember memeing with Brave Sword Arthur before.
Yeah.
So I think it's B swords.
Yeah, and, like I remember that being like Lex Arthur, so it's not like he gets any like weird sword rank from Holy Blood or anything. That sounds about right. B swords.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. His strength is bad. He does get 5 strength on promotion.
Yeah.
And if you give him the strength village and he manages to level it 1 time himself, which I think it's 10% growth, I want to say.
Yeah, it sounds like an Alec moment.
Yeah, he can, with the light brand, 1 round KO the wind mages in chapter 4 at 1 range.
Yeah.
So he does have just enough strength to sometimes pull that off.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good situation for him if you get him there. Like the road up to it is really bad, right? But if you get him there, you can actually build up kills on the light brand really well, I feel like, because like who else is gonna have the magic to 1 round at 2 range? Like nobody.
Yeah. So yeah, the big issue is going to be he doesn't clear arenas, and he's not going to get anywhere. The places that you feed him kills are like, so he starts next to a bunch of dudes that are easy kills. Might as well give it to him. Then in chapter 1, you can kind of have him fight Elliot's squad.
Oh yeah, I saw that. But was that him?
The problem is Elliot's squad is like level 1 units, so they give no experience.
Yeah.
So you only really want to fight Elliot because he's the only one that actually gives anything. And it's like, oh, I killed 1 enemy. Congrats.
Isn't Elliot also level 1, or am I misremembering here?
I think he's a higher level.
I know he's promoted, but I don't necessarily think that makes him always higher. He might be a higher level. You're probably right. It's just I remember him.
I mean, I could be wrong. Yeah. Who cares about Elliot?
I mean, it's so hard to even get him there because well, you have to just put him next to the Armor Knight, I assume, the yellow guy.
Yeah, but so then chapter 2, he's not going to do anything because you have to rush those castles if you want the bargain ban. So you can kind of get him up to Mac Lily Castle, and he isn't bad there. He can actually 1 round the Thunder Mages on enemy phase. But if you leave those sword fighters alive, they just kill him.
Yeah.
So you have to kill those guys with somebody in order to get him there. And at that point, he's not really helping. He's just kind of trying to get kills for himself again.
Yeah, it's just self-improvement. I think that's like the big issue for like bad durability foot units in this game in general, isn't it? It's like enemies are just in such massive formations that it's hard to get like specific kills on the unit without endangering yourself.
Foot units are so squishy in this game too. It's really annoying. It's like you'd hope they could at least like hold themselves when they were in range, but most of them just die.
Yeah, you had like a formation of like 4 Armor Knights in chapter 3. It's like, oh, that's easy kill for my mage, and they just 2-shot him with a javelin. It's like, well, shit, I guess I'll die. And you were saying something. Sorry.
Yeah, so chapter 3, you can, like, if you want to give him to fight the Cross Knights, he has only a 43% chance of death.
Oh.
But, which is still really bad. But it's better than 50, so, I mean, go for it. What I like to do with him, though, if I'm not going for turns, is there's, like, that Armor Knight squad to, like, the lower right. You can give him Elfire, he still doubles them with it. And he can get a decent amount of experience there that should make up for the fact that he won't clear the 5th level of the arena, because that's Duma. That guy's dark magic. He's got like 80 hit on him and 2 shots him.
Hate those guys.
Yeah.
So annoying.
But yeah, if you can get him promoted to chapter 4, he's very good in that map. He's the only unit that can actually 1-round KO mages on enemy phase. Like, not even Sigurd does that. It's not like the most important thing, but it is useful.
Yeah.
If you're still struggling to get him promoted by chapter 4, you can just feed him all the villagers that spawn, because nobody's really fighting for those. And that should get him to promotion for chapter 5.
Yay.
The place where Azelle pops off is chapter 5, because he can use the the Earth Sword, and that ignores Great Shield. And even though, like, Lewyn with Forsetti, is going to cap the hit rate sky high, he still is going to be running 70 hit effectively.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Azelle, if you give him the skill ring, you give him, like, Lachesis, like, support and Sigurd support, he runs, like, 82 hit. So it's better. He also gets there earlier, so he's got more turns to, like, hit it before Lewyn would get there. So he's better than Lewyn at it. Against Reptor, he's a bit worse than Lewyn at it, because Lewyn has effectively the same move in the desert.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah, he's a very competent unit if you put up with all of his shit.
Yes, and that takes like half the generation.
Yeah, and yeah, he only does stuff at like the tail end of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I could keep it like this all the way, but it looks weird right now because I'm going to be moving him below all these guys. So what I'm going to do right now, I don't know if it's accurate yet. What I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to move people down a tier basically for now. While we discuss them like this. Just do this for now. They can share the F tier for now. So it's like, I think it was like this. There we go.
Yeah,
so
now
it's.
I don't know if we'll be moving all of them down. But,
I don't know either, but this way, because it looks weird otherwise. It just pisses me off. Okay. So speaking of units that are better than Lewyn, we have Lewyn here. Like you said, it's super easy to use, right? It's just you kill a couple bandits with him early on. You learn how to use a dancer, and then you just arena with him a little bit, and then you maybe fight like 1 or 2 guys, and then chapter 4 you get Forsetti. And if he's not promoted yet by then, he'll promote it very soon because Forsetti, he doesn't one-out everything because he doesn't have pursuit, but he's such a high chance of like critting or adapting anyway that he's probably gonna one-shot some things. And then I don't know, you can't really go wrong with 30 might plus 20 skill, etc. Except when it's on a foot unit. Foot unit's kind of cringe. And he gets stabs, which I don't think does a whole lot for Lewyn specifically or anyone else at that point in the game. So yeah, this like great casual unit, kind of like the Lex syndrome, right? Where first time players will really enjoy him, and then everyone else is like, or people playing efficiently are like, what can I even do with this guy? What's the point?
Yeah, so unlike Azelle, who you have to plan out every single move he makes on every single map to get him anywhere, Lewyn, you put him in the arena a couple times, and he promotes to Sage in chapter 4, and then you get Forsetti, and then he will kill bosses and stuff for you. Pretty easy unit to use. The unfortunate thing about the true LTC is you do skip Forsetti because it costs a turn.
I was going to ask, because you said you could get it if you make like a certain Aideen strategy, certain risk.
Yeah, if you use Azelle Edain, you do get Forsetti, because what you do is you have Sigurd go down to seize the castle while Lachesis runs across the top, and then she rescues Sigurd, and that effectively saves the turn. But but unfortunately, if you're going for optimal play, it does cost a turn. Now, I do think people should pick it up. I'm not advocating for true LTC strats here.
Yeah.
But though I don't think it's a Lewyn that makes Forsetti super good. I think it's actually Gen 2 is when Forsetti's useful. But yeah, Lewyn kind of sucks just all around. You have him up there with the Brigands in chapter 2. Now, I mentioned when we were talking about Sylvia that they don't really do anything up there. Because the issue is that if you play competently enough, you can actually seize the Anthony Castle before the village that you're like trying to rush down would burn down. In fact, reliably, you actually seized that castle before Lewyn would even kill the guy.
Damn, that is insanely fast. Because I remember the deadline is like turn 13, turn 14 or something for Lewyn to seize.
It's the enemy phase of turn 15.
And then the village burns down all the way, right?
Yeah. The enemy phase of turn 15, it burns down.
Yeah. So, but you have to like, if you want to save it with Lewyn, you have to seize Erinys and then move him towards it, right? So I remember like roughly turn 11, turn 12, you have to seize Erinys for him to make it there.
Yes, like, it's turn 12 is the latest, and if you do turn 12, he can still do it, but it's not reliable. He has to get a crit.
Yeah. Or depth.
Or depth, yeah, because he doesn't one round KO those guys, which is kind of what makes it obnoxious.
Yeah, confession. I usually like rig something in the arena to make sure Lewyn just one rounds everything there. I want my gold.
Right. But yeah, so he's saving like pittance as far as money, and that's really all he's doing in that map because he has to go hang out by the home castle to recruit Erinys. And then you have chapter 3 where he's like 2-hit KO'd by the mounted units. He is like more avoidy than like your standard mage, but 2-hit KO is a 2-hit KO.
Yeah, I take it you don't get Pursuit Ring, right?
You mean you can?
Yeah.
But I don't think the Pursuit Ring is very contested. You can kind of give it to whoever you want.
Yeah, it's only come up for like you can use it to make this somewhat bad unit, better. Like we didn't really talk about it for nice, Noah Red guy.
Yeah. He needs it. Ethelyn, if you're using her for like the battle on the big bridge, which I think I'll talk about that when we get to Arden.
Yeah. I think if you want to make Quan really good, he could use it too. For example.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Lex, that's another one.
But yeah, so I think it's like a problem. One of the things about the Pursuit Ring is it's usually good in places, not on units. So like the Pursuit Ring is good against the Cross Knights. So whoever you're having that's going to fight the Cross Knights should get the Pursuit Ring. The Pursuit Ring is good against the Pirates. Whoever's going to fight the Pirates should get it. Stuff like that. It's so you can kind of trade it around and do sort of helps with that because you can just dump money on anyone who wants it.
Yeah. As long as you have it. Because Pursuit Ring is really expensive, but
yeah, you're gonna have to dump money on whoever's gonna pick it up. But I mean, it's not a big deal.
I mean, you're using Lewyn. You have brain power left over to do some planning.
Yeah, it's like Lewyn. He goes to the arenas and he just promotes, so it's like the easiest sage you'll ever get. Aside from Sed, who's the actual easiest sage you'll ever get.
Yeah, I mean, Lewyn doesn't even start as a sage. Come on, let's take some brain power.
But yeah, so chapter 4, even though he's finally promoted, he's still not really doing anything.
It's the same movement even.
Yeah, he doesn't get any movement bonuses, which is fine because it means he doesn't have 5 movement when he's unpromoted. I mean, it would be nice if he got 7 like FE5, but we can't have everything. He does have staves, which is an untalked about property that he's got. The one use I did get out of him when I did the ranked run is I had him warp Sigurd because Edain and Claude were both they had to stand outside to get married. So I needed somebody to
getting married, so I asked Lewyn to warp me.
Yeah. So I had to have another unit do it. I could have used Tailtyu because she was also promoted at the time. But yeah, so that's like the one thing I did with Lewyn that was actually useful. So yeah, he's got staves. The restore staff could be useful theoretically if Sigurd got put to sleep. But yeah, that's really it. So once you get Forsetti, you can have him like fight those bosses that are really difficult in chapter 5. Usually have him fight Reptor because he's got, triangle advantage doesn't really matter. The thing is like I checked it out, and at base he does have enough skill, or not base, but on average he has enough skill to like pull 100 hit against those guys. So he's going to be running 70 effective hit because of Great Shield. And that's the best he can do because he can't use the Earth Sword.
Yeah.
The issue he runs into is that technically both Azelle and Tailtyu are better than him at that. Now, normally you don't use Tailtyu because it's a money sink that does nothing really. But she is more reliable than him, and that is funny to me.
I agree. I love killing my family personally, so I can relate to Tailtyu as a character.
So that is the unfortunate thing, is because he doesn't have any way to get around Great Shield, he is capped at 70 hit, which does make him less reliable. I don't think it's the end of the world, because you're probably going to take extra turns against these guys anyways.
Yeah.
But
doesn't he also need like crit to get those kills? Adept or some one of those two things. Whereas Tailtyu probably Wrath one kills, right?
She hit plus Wrath kills with the magic ring.
And then Azelle, it's like, does he even?
Azelle is like a 4-hit KO.
Okay.
So he has multiple turns to do it.
Okay.
Because he gets there faster.
Go figure. All right.
Yep.
That it for Lewyn?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's right next to Azelle again. They're both really bad.
Works for me. Could have just stopped there, honestly. Just started there.
Yeah, everybody's just kind of bad. Put them all in F. Sigurd's an S. Tier list over.
Yeah, that's FE4 in a nutshell, really. It's the details that make it interesting. These next two, I feel like the biggest relevance is just being able to use warp before you have promoted Lewyn and everything else, so you can like warp people between castles. And I think in rank you do Deirdre first because she leaves, so you want to get her to like level 20. And Aideen is just like for the rest of the playthrough. Is there anything else that they do? Deirdre silences, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Silences one boss.
Yeah, you don't really need to silence that boss because Sigurd has more movement than he's got range, but...
Oh, yeah?
It's not that big of a deal. But I guess, yeah, she can silence the boss if you're wanting to use, like, Jamke or someone to fight those hunters in front of the castle.
Yeah, I want to validate my Jamke use.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is technically utility. One thing I did do with Deirdre, I guess we skipped Edain, we'll come back to her, was I had her attack him, Jamke, when he was an enemy, and what that did was it got rid of his charge.
Oh, right, I remember that. That's so funny.
And she was fine on enemy phase because Jamke knocks her to miracle range, because she does have miracle on that item in her inventory.
Oh, yeah?
So she could survive, and then because Jamke was out of charge range, now when I had Ayra finish baiting him out of the forest, Ayra didn't get completely massacred by him.
Yeah, just don't get adept, I guess.
Yeah, well, she could survive 2 hits, just barely.
Oh, wow, that's if there's some cursed strats going on, jeez.
Yeah. Oh, the Spirit Forest is awful. What you should do for the Spirit Forest is just wait until he comes out and just recruit with Aideen and then go through it. You should never charge through it. It's just, you're gonna die.
Yeah. Jamke has to be like one of the silliest recruitments in the series. It's never talked about, but he's so dangerous. It's so funny.
Yeah, and they made a enemy in Endgame that's just Jamke too. He's got the killer bow and all of his skills and stats. It's really funny. One of the Dead Lords is just him. But yeah,
that's
so
Deirdre,
and then yeah, Deirdre. Yeah, so in chapter 2, there's like a weird warp strat you can do. So if you want to like do the cheese where you skip all of the Augusty soldiers, you have to get Sylvia to Mechlili Castle like the turn Sigurd seizes. In order to do that, what you have to do is you have to return him with Lachesis. And so you don't have to return stuff on Ethlin, because Ethlin has to sell it, because it's the you don't have time, basically. So what you do is you have Edain warp Deirdre up to that castle. You have her buy the warp staff, like sell and buy it, and then you have Deirdre warp the 2 of them instead of using Ethlin. That saves a turn, and it allows Sigurd and Claude to skip that entire encounter. That is the only other thing that she does. I know Dysentery MD, I think is what he goes by now, did a 0% run of this game. And he did also use Deirdre for one other thing, which is that Mechlili castle charge. He had her like bait Ballista because she had Miracle. But that's the only other thing I've ever seen her do. She can't die, which is kind of cool. It's not useful.
Oh yeah, she's murderless. Cool. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really silly thing. I remember those ballistas. I think they don't knock her into like a good miracle range initially. You have to like rig it a little bit, but I do remember wanting to use that before. It's really great.
Yeah. Now, I didn't really say she did a whole lot there because this is like 2 early game chapters. Deirdre, I think specifically goes down to E tier.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, she's just not good. Barely has any time to do anything, and everything she does is very niche, like very specific. Now, Edain, I think, can stay up there, though. So the other thing that Edain does is she's got the Men's Staff, so she can heal your guys up.
When she's near them. Yeah.
Usually, you sell it off after chapter 1, and you give her the heal staff because she has enough magic to use heal. But yeah, she's nice in like the few instances where you kind of need to go a bit slower, like the McLily Castle and stuff like that, where you can kind of just top your weaker units off with her. I guess technically in chapter 4, you can kind of use her a bit for healing purposes with like physic. She doesn't really have a lot to do after the early game, but yeah, she's fine. She's definitely better than Deirdre though, because she's just around more.
Yeah, that alone probably. I don't know how she ended up here, Deirdre. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I have no excuses.
Yeah, she was in C tier. I'm like, that's a bit of a high place for a unit who gets effectively one map.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I must have been bias points. I don't know what happened. I played temporary insanity. Okay. I guess that's it for D tier then, unless you want to move anyone up. But I feel like...
So actually, I do. I think Holyn and Ayra could go up.
Ooh, arguing foot units up. I gotta hear this.
Yeah, I know.
But first, I need to turn my lights on real quick. So if you give me 1 second. Okay, so Holyn and Ayra. I feel like you could argue them almost anywhere as long as it's near the bottom of the list, like in the bottom half of it, because they're like viable combat units that you would only use to self-improve them, like because you want to use funny sword combat units, like funny sword Myrmidon. Because like they're kind of self-sufficient in the arena at least, and then maybe some enemy types. But outside of that, I don't know what they can do. So I'm curious to hear what makes them D tier rather than E for you.
Okay, so they're not good, but the one thing I do give to Ayra specifically is in chapter 1, the Spirit Forest, she does have more movement than a Cavalier does. And you can get her there around the same time as them by just warping her to the castle you just see. She's gotten a hill, which means that Jamke can't proc crit on her. So, and if you send her through the arena, I think she needs like 1 HP proc to not get 2 hit KO'd. And then you can have her like bait out Jamke. And that's kind of nice. After that though, she's really bad. Like, again, she's very squishy. Even though people like to say she's like a dodge tank, a lot of enemies use lances. They're running 40 to 60 hit on her. Sometimes she gets 3 hit KO'd if you're really nice about it, but it's still not great. She's going to die. You're not going to like it.
Yeah, she also doesn't two-shot enemies most of the time without Astra.
Yeah, she relies on a skill proc. That's another thing. I always like to compare Ayra to Nisha, where it's like, well, you have 2 units here that don't really one-round KO, but one of them can take a lot of hits, and both of them kill if they get their skill procs. Like, her skill proc is higher, but, I mean, it's still not a good strategy to rely on kills.
No.
Either of them.
I think people will talk about Ayra as a dodge tank and, like, general as a good combat unit. They think of her after promotion when she has the Brave Sword, because, you know, people don't often trade around the items. So they think of Ayra, they think of a level 30 Swordmaster with the Brave Sword, Adept anyway, for overkill, Astra, everything. And
well, Brave Sword doesn't even...
Yeah, it doesn't even stack, but like people love overkill, right? They look at it in the arena, they're like, "Damn, so good, so strong."
Yeah. In chapter 3, she is like okay against the pirates. She's one of the worst options you have, but she's still viable. I forget what her chance of death is. I think it's around 15%.
Fighting all the pirates at once.
Yeah, she fights all the pirates. The issue is the boss pirate actually has a really good chance of hitting her.
Yeah, he's strong.
Yeah, and he doesn't one-shot her, but if any of the other pirates hit her, he does.
Yeah, and it's like 1 million iron axes and then 1, like maybe 3 hand axes, I think.
He's got a bunch of hand axes, a bunch of iron axes. I think the boss has I forget if he has a steel or silver axe.
I think silver.
But I know. Yeah, I think he just hits really hard.
Yeah. I mean, they all have the same hit. I mean, the iron, steel, and silver all have the same hit. So
yeah, they all have the same hit, but the boss does have a lot more skill.
Yeah, I know.
So he is a pretty bit more accurate.
Yeah. Generally, enemy stats are pretty high compared to GBA, of course. What do you do about the hand axes? Do you like use like a 1-2 range, or do you just like?
Well, I mean, you let one of them hit at you, and then the other ones will just go out in 1 range.
Okay.
And then you just finish the next one off on player face.
Doesn't she suffer for success by like having 0 hit, or does that not matter?
I
guess it's just
yeah, she has 0. Okay, so you can get her to have enough avoid to where she would have 0 hit, and then they won't fight her. So yeah, that is a problem. I don't think she gets that high though on
Yeah.
average. You'd have to have her a pretty good bit above average.
Yeah, or like
Zero
over
hit.
leveled, I guess, because
Yeah.
if she's promoted, it's a different story.
One of the places where you usually think foot units could do something is the Mech Lily Castle, because you have to wait so long for that. But because there is like the road tile there that just kills her a void, and the ballista just 2-shots her, and there's 5 of them.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a 3-shot. I don't remember, but it's
Yeah, I was gonna say the
it's not
ballistas
good
are
for
really
her.
weak, but I mean, there's like 5 of them, and then
Yeah.
in addition to anything you face on the road, so yikes.
Now, one thing that these 2 units also have is a rather like not very talked about feature of the game. I don't know exactly how it works, but I do know that sword fighters get targeted more than other units.
Oh,
like
it's
enemies.
the class. Wow.
Yeah, it's actually the class. It's not just Holyn.
Okay.
They will target them more than others. For Holyn, that's cool because he's bulky.
Yeah.
For Ayra, that's not cool because she's not bulky. So those ballistas just start raiding on her, and she'll just die.
Yeah. Dodge tank this, Ayra. Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah, so like she's not good there. In the low turn run I did, I was pairing her with Lex as a mistake. And I had to have Lex up there because Lex is good, but I had to have Ayra next to him, and it was causing problems. So yeah, I don't really like Ayra all that much. But she is like a competent fighter in a few very niche circumstances, and we're kind of at the bottom of the barrel here.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think she does have enough to like B and D tier. But otherwise, yeah, she's bad.
Yeah.
Holyn is basically Ayra without Chapter 1. He's got a bit more bulk, which is useful. I know the 0% run does use Holyn in a couple circumstances, but in a normal playthrough, he's kind of worthless.
Yeah.
I did use him to build kills on the Silver Sword, which, as I mentioned earlier, wasn't a good idea. But hey,
He can do it.
He can do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he can do it. So yeah.
Works for me. That was one more thing I wanted to say about the. Oh yeah, you talked about pairing Lex with Ayra being a mistake. I think pairing stuff might be better off saving for Gen 2 because it's not really impacting Gen 1 too much, but it definitely impacts Gen 2 in a way. But I think your general stance on it is like pairing is not super important, but it could be interesting to discuss for like a little bit at some point.
It's not super important, but I mostly brought it up because if you're trying to pair them together in that fast setting, you do have to keep them together, which actually hurts Lex quite a bit. Because you have to hold him back a bunch because Ayra's not very good.
Yeah, I think that changes a lot of ways, because like a lot of people when they play FE4, they play because of the pairing system. They want to make all the kids super strong and everything, which actually not a very high priority for efficiency playthroughs as far as I know, because most kids aren't very relevant for that.
There's only one pairing that truly matters, and that's Edain's.
Yeah. Which is hilarious because like in casual playthroughs, Lana is like the kid that's always the same for most people, I think. So it's a really funny contrast to me.
It has almost nothing to do with the kids either.
Yeah.
It's just the item.
Yeah.
But
you're getting married because of one item. Congrats. Have fun.
Well, I think we'll get into more of that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, Holyn, I mean, you can argue him up. Whether he's better than Ayra or not, I think is just up to what you value.
I just put him
Holyn
over,
is,
I just did this because of Spirit Force thing. That's it.
Yeah, he is better than Ayra at the Pirates, if you care about that. He does need to be hit by 2 of them, plus the Steel Axe guy to die.
Ooh.
So, he's got a bit more reliability there. But, yeah, he's generally better than her, but just still not good.
Yeah, I'll take the Jamke reliability over that, but I don't think it really matters anyway.
Yeah, who really cares who's better?
We're splitting really cool hairs here. Okay, I'm assuming that's it for D tier then.
Yeah, I don't know anyone else goes up there.
Okay, so speaking of rescue staff and one item, I guess we can talk about Claude. So I couldn't really think of anything that Claude himself does in Gen 1. Like, I used him for fortifying my casual playthroughs and maybe like a restore, and that's about it. I feel like if you have anything to do for a staff guy, you can just do it with someone else with more movement than him. But maybe there's something I'm missing, because he seems like not very good. Like, I would be tempted to move him down personally from here, but maybe I'm missing something.
He's pretty worthless.
Good.
The only thing that he really has going for him Like he can use warp. There's a lot of units that can use warp, but
Yeah.
you should probably credit him over like the archers, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing that's unique about him is the Valkyrie staff. Usually you don't let your units die, though there is some funny things you can do with it because the Valkyrie staff does reset your turn.
Oh,
So
right.
you could kill a unit as like part of their attack action. That's what I do with Azelle. With the Reptor kill is they have Azelle attack him, get a bit chip in so that Lachesis' kill is more reliable. And then he dies. We bring him back to life. We sell off all his items so that we can have them for Gen 2. So like that was the one thing that Claude did that was like helpful to my run. And I feel like that's the only thing he really does for anyone's run.
Oh, you actually did that?
Yeah, I did that.
That's so good.
But yeah, he's if you're playing really slowly, Fortify can be useful. You can also give Fortify to Edain, and you should do that if you are pairing them together, because then Lana can inherit it.
Well, right.
So that's not even unique to him, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a healer in a game where the healing doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Especially not at that point. Like when Ethlyn was around, it mattered a lot. When Claude is around, it's like, whatever. And then 5.
Yeah, I'd put him at like the bottom of the E or top of the F. Doesn't really matter where he goes. He's very bad.
I think top of F sounds good to me.
Okay.
Right. So you said the archers, which makes me think you want to move Briggid down, which I think is another funny thing. Like, people love holy weapon users, and you said earlier, like, killer bow is better than in UFIL, I think is how you say it. Which is,
yeah.
It's like Lamar.
It's got plus 30 hit.
Yeah, which is much better when you find like the Pegasus Knights. You could like hit him if you hit him with your 70 hit weapon or whatever it is. Then you do like 180 damage or whatever, but you only need 40 or so. So who cares? And then they don't do much else. I think you said that like, I believe might be spoilers, but I think you think Jamke is the worst unit in the gen or Briggid, one of the two.
I think it's arguable between the two of them.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to like make any claims on who is better or who is worse than them, but I do think both of them are two of the worst units in the game. Archer is a very bad class. You don't have an enemy phase, as I mentioned, specifically with Briggid. Midir kind of falls off around that point, and Midir is just better than her. So what is she doing?
Yeah. Okay.
I
don't know how she made it to D in the first place.
Yeah, it's like people want to use her against the Andre squad, which I mean, she can survive it. It's not impossible, but it is risking a chance of death versus using a couple other units who don't. So, like, you can like put her in scenarios where, oh yeah, she'll kill a group of enemies and that's it. It doesn't really help you. It doesn't.
You just got a couple kills on UFIL. Congrats.
Yeah.
Now you can crit flyers. So wait.
Yeah. So. The one thing that is unique about Briggid, and this isn't really a unique thing about Briggid, but it is a funny thing about Briggid, is if you're exploiting jealousy, she is the unit to put between two other women or two other characters, because almost nobody has her as a priority. So if you're trying to manipulate jealousy, she's always an option to put somewhere, and that's nice because she's also useless everywhere. But if you want to value that to any degree, I think that's the only thing you could do to put her over Jamke, because Jamke does have 2 champions on her.
Yeah, I don't think I want to value that, because like it's not even a combat thing or like a utility or like an action. It's just, I don't know. It's just like Sophia picks up the guiding ring level stuff, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not very good, but it's so dumb though that they're like. If you look at this game as a whole, like if you look at this like in the grand context of Fire Emblem, we're putting 2 units in F tier that 1-round enemies. Like from base.
I mean,
it's so funny to me. Like at base level, they don't have durability issues either. Like they're fine at surviving, they're fine at killing. Like they're like their combat is like comparable to FE10 Chulainn, if you think about it.
Well, they do actually have durability issues.
Depends on what they're facing.
I mean, they have durability issues from the standpoint that we care about like juggernauting.
Yeah.
And they don't fight a lot of enemies. They can fight some. They can certainly take a hit, but if you're putting them in range of a lot of enemies, the chance of them dying goes up quite a bit. They usually aren't like anywhere close to the best unit to use for one of those situations. So I think durability is a concern with them.
I guess relative to the people you're using in this game, yeah, they have durability issues. It's just usually when we're in the F tier, we have like the Mirandas or the Ninos or whatever they're like, comparing against. Those are like durability issues. Compared to that, they're like Gatri. It's just weird how power crept this game is. Way. But I understand why. But it's so weird. The first time I saw it, it's like, hey, Jamke's F tier. That's weird. Because like Jamke is like I guess we're not up to him yet, but it's kind of whatever. We can do it later. But Briggid specifically, I think like the first enemy phase you get her, she's like one rounds a couple of enemies that like Briggid to fight her. That's to give you a good first impression. It's so funny.
Yeah, she always does that. The annoying thing is if you try to play fast, you want to get Briggid to have the conversation with Midir because you want to have a actual thief in Gen 2.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you have to force her through that big squad of dudes.
God.
And there is a way to get her to survive somewhat consistently, but she still has like a 15% chance of death, and it's really annoying.
Oh, that's gross. Yeah, the usual way to go about it is just like run away, and
if
you take a really long time, you can like have her choke points and then protect Claude and Tailtyu if you're like taking your time there. Mm-hmm. But it's just her taking a bunch of hits like every turn. So cute.
But if you don't do that, you're not going to get her paired in a time period that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't care about that because, like, what's just waiting 15 turns at the end of chapter 5, anyways.
Yeah.
But, it's really annoying. She's just not great to use. She's fun, I'm sure, like for casual players.
Yeah, she sure is. Like this might be the most powerful units in F tier that I've ever seen, probably.
But yeah, she she also was like the last to join, so I think it's also justified to put her there.
Yeah, although at least this game is like doesn't give units at the end of the gen; it just gives you like the units at the end of chapter 3, so you still have like 2 full chapters to play with your whole squad, minus the Leinster squad, of course. But
yeah, you only have like a castle to play with your whole team.
Yeah. Sad.
Actually, it's not even that because you lose Deirdre the first castle. So
damn.
Never mind. You never get your full team.
Yeah, you never have 24 units to move around. False information. Okay. So shall we talk about Tailtyu? Which we've talked about Tailtyu, things you can do like a couple of times already. We mentioned that she can she's funny. You can dump 40k on her to make her good. You can have her kill Reptor with the Earth Sword apparently, and but it's all kind of the Reptor thing was reliability. Almost everything else sounds like memes to me. So I think she's probably
mostly memes.
Yeah,
it's mostly memes. You have her in E. I think she could go to F.
Okay. So Deirdre is still the E. Actually, never mind. There might be an Arden moving up.
I can't wait to argue for Arden.
I can't wait for Arden either.
But so you dump 40k on her. You send her through the arena. She promotes in chapter 5. You keep the elite ring on her. You spam the warp staff. You get her at level 30. It's the easiest like level 30 unit you'll ever see in your life. But she doesn't really do anything that's like super useful. If you want her to see combat, she is theoretically better than Lewyn at both of those bosses. Because she does, I believe, have a higher skill stat than she always caps her skill because she has a really good growth.
Yeah, good old Toro blood.
She does have a higher skill stat than Azelle, but I do believe it's lower than Lewyn's, ignoring Forsetti. But even if you like account for that, you have so many ways to boost it. The issue that Lewyn faces is even though he's going to have like 200 or something hit, none of that matters because 100 is the cap. And then Great Shield says no. Whereas the Earth Sword ignores Great Shield. So you can pretty much always get her to be more reliable. And on average, with her magic stat, with the magic ring, she'll kill both bosses with a hit plus crit. I think Reptor might be a bit weirder on that. I don't remember what his stats are. I know Lombard, though, is like super bulky.
Yeah, he gets res from the Hellswath.
Yeah, she might be able to kill like Reptor with like 1 crit. I can't remember. I'd have to look at his stats. But I know Lombard. I did check that one. That is a hit plus crit kills.
So you just take an extra turn, or you rig an adept or whatever. It's whatever your fancy is.
Or you give her the pursuit ring. I mean, it's an option.
Yeah, that's true as well. If you have another 40k lying around, then yeah, sure.
Well, she sells the. Once she gets going.
Oh yeah, sell the
she just
Paragon.
has money now.
Yeah, the concept of Tailtyu having money to spare was foreign to me, but now that you mention it, yeah, fair enough. I'll put it over Claude, I guess. It sounds like she can do more. Like, at least you could do more funny things than Claude, so that alone is, like, enough, I guess.
She helps keep Claude alive.
Yeah, that's true. Her joining, like, she's not bad on her joining map if you just, if you don't mind the fact that she's not contributing to your clear, she's not bad at fighting there. Better than Claude at fighting, at least.
Yeah.
I enjoy managing her HP in that part of the map, I guess. FE4 should have more scenarios like that, where you have, like, do something funny like that. Okay, are we done with Tailtyu?
I can't really think of anything else. Okay. She can warp. That's cool.
Yeah, great. C stabs, warp, funniest warp you've ever seen. Yeah.
She's got B.
Yeah. Oh, right, she does. Yeah, but warp is C. Yeah, fair enough.
Warp is B.
Okay, you're right. You know
she
what?
Has C swords. That's the.
I'm gonna pretend I was thinking of that. Yeah, you're probably right. Okay, we kind of already discussed Jamke. There was one more thing I wanted to say about him, which we kind of already went over anyways. That he can one-round the enemies in his joining map. Like when he joins, he's like kind of in perfect position almost to fight like a bunch of enemy hunters. I think that was like the idea that they want to show off that he's good. But like you said, you don't have to do that. You can just
walk around.
Yeah, just walk around. I don't remember why. I remember having trouble with that boss if I'm not silencing him, but I don't remember exactly why. Because like I said, Sigurd can probably just run up to him and kill him without being in infinite range.
It's a pretty clean silver sword, one round KO.
You just go through the side, right? Where
you just have to bait like one of the enemies, and then they'll all just come running at you. Then you just walk around them.
Oh yeah.
I think in Cheeky's clear they showed that off. I just one-rounded them with the javelin.
Fair enough. Yeah, speed ring Sigurd.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have it. I just rigged the speed because I needed it for something else.
Oh, okay. That works too. All right. That's like all I can think of Jamke really doing, and it's self-improvement, so it's like it doesn't really matter all that much. Like I think you had him as your designated arena rigger.
Yeah.
The broken bow strats.
Yeah, Briggid is the designated jealousy bot, and Jamke is the dedicated arena rigger.
Yes.
I mean, they both do very important things to the playthrough when you really think about it. It wouldn't work without them.
Yeah, the master of RNG.
But we don't usually account for that as utility.
No. Wasn't it because Jamke has was it because he has an adept Arden as well, that he burns 2 at a time or something like that?
Arden is the one who burns 2 at a time because of Vantage, which is why he's not good. Jamke burns multiple if you have a fixed bow, and if you have a broken bow, he only burns 1.
Okay.
So he's very good at both speed burning and single burning.
he's multi-purpose.
Yeah.
It's a very versatile unit.
A very versatile RNG burner.
GBA RNG be like, look what they have to do to mimic a fraction of our power.
Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons why this game is so slow to do like low turns for.
Yeah.
Because arenas take forever to burn RNG.
Disgusting. Oh well. At least he has that. So that's Jamke. Now, I don't know what you have planned for Arden. All I know is this guy's durability and then no mobility. But I know that if you get him to certain places, he can fight like the Pirate Bridge. But that's all I remember. Yeah. So Arden.
At the Pirate Bridge, he is the second best unit at fighting those pirates. The only one that's better is Ethlin. But Arden, he's not going to die to the pirates. Even at base level, he's not going to die to the pirates. He's got the bulk. And at base level, I believe he also one-round KOs them with the Brave Sword. So, just an all-around solid unit there. The other thing about Arden, and why he's definitely better than the archers, is because when he promotes, he does have the killer bow. And one of the problems I have with the archers is they die if they fight a lot of rounds of combat. Arden doesn't have that problem. He can tank Andre's squad. So, if you're using Arden, he's not that bad. He has 5 movement though, so.
Yeah, he has to get there. Does he double?
Well, you give him the pursuit ring, and.
No, I mean because he sure he has the killer bow versus their slow bows, but he also is Arden.
Well, yeah, that's +5 speed from the killer bow, and I don't think they have much speed. I'd have to check it. But I mean, you give him the speed ring if you wanted to. It's not that hard.
You're already committing to memes anyway. You might as well go all the way.
And like the movement difference between him and like Jamke doesn't really matter because you can like use the rescue step to get him there.
Yeah, you're already lugging him over the place anyway. Like,
yeah.
Just commit, Lamau. Okay.
Yeah. In the prologue, he was very useful, not as anything that's like super great, but he did ship an enemy and then get hit by that enemy, which allowed both me to get an extra kill and some healing experience. Yeah. So, utility there.
The versatility is off the charts.
Yeah, Arden is very bad, but like his combat isn't unworkable. It's mostly his move that's the problem.
Yeah.
And the game is also like very mean with him. They treat him like he's bad. Part of the reason his combat's so bad early on is because they gave him an iron sword.
Yeah.
He's got the same personal strength as Sigurd, if I remember correctly. Sigurd's in a promoted class, so he has 1 more point. But I mean, like, that's not a bad damage stat. It's just he's got an iron sword, so he does no damage.
Yeah, I mean, once you get the brave sword and he like gets the pursuit ring for free, like he doubles a lot of stuff, quadruples a lot of stuff even. It's not.
That's one of the advantages
it's not
he
bad
has over, over other pursuit ring users is he gets it. He doesn't have to pay for it.
Yeah, until you have to give it to someone else, then he has to pay for it afterwards if he wants it. But
right,
he gets it for free for a while at least. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, and once Arden promotes, he will never die in the arena again.
Yeah, you even get to like reverse Uno with Pavais on the enemy. It's like the best feeling ever. It's a basically extra avoid for him in a way. So you said better than the archers. Is that it? Is that how far up he's gonna go?
I like to put him in E tier personally.
Yeah. I kind of want to do that too, just because it will make people wonder when they skip to the end and like, what the hell happened to Arden?
Like he's really not that bad as a combat unit. Even though his speed is low, it doesn't matter because this is FE4 speed. He's got swords, which are not way down, so they double everything anyways. He's not a bad combat unit. He's just has no movement. That's Arden's story.
Yeah, so just get into combat and he's okay, which is, I mean, it's something. It's still E tier. Like, it's still bad, but I'm impressed.
He's still bad, but I mean, I do think he's a better combat unit than the 2 units at F, so hey.
I think that's fair. It's just, you know, I just didn't imagine I would see the day where we put Arden over Ufel bot.
He's going so high.
He's going places. He's going to distance.
Availability.
Perfect availability, that's right. It's like one of the first units you even see in the dialogue.
Yep. Well, he has a unique event to give him extra skill if he's married.
Yeah, that's true. Another reason. He's even not bad as a parent, as I believe.
Yeah, because he gives Vantage.
Yeah. Free arena.
Obviously, Lex is always better than him, which is very sad. But hey, sometimes you want 2 of them.
Sometimes you want 2 Vantage kids, and then this video is going very long, so we'll probably talk about kids next time as we're doing Gen 2. But for now, you know, I'm pretty happy with how it looks. Obviously, you're gonna think it looks better now than it did before because you were done fixing it.
I mean, yeah.
So thank you for all your insights. I think we're done here. I'll be happy to see you all for Gen 2. And yeah, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. See you around.
Thanks for having me. Yep, later.